Friday Night Racing
on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie.
All right, you're welcome along to Off the Ball. It is Christmas Eve, babe. And there's no one I would rather spend my time in the drunk tank with than Johnny Ward. Happy Christmas, Johnny.
That is a qualified compliment if ever there were one.
I'm excited. I've been on that NORAD Santa tracker all day. Got to Australia, no bother. New Zealand, up around Asia, through the Middle East, down into Africa. And last I looked, making his way through Africa, coming north. Kids, it's just gone 7 o'clock. This is final warning time. Get yourself to bed. Get yourself to bed.
Yeah. Let's just hope he doesn't bring another variant with him and all that.
Bloody hell, Johnny. This is a positive time, isn't it?
How are you keeping?
I'm all right. How are you keeping? I hear you're boosted.
Yeah, just got the booster literally 5 minutes before the show, so hopefully my arm doesn't fall off. I turned down the flu vaccine because I just have a wussy fear of needles. So there we are. Hopefully that's the end of me and COVID anyway.
I got the most middle class vaccine of all time last week, Johnny.
What was that?
I was going down. It was a Saturday afternoon. I like to get myself a little bit of cheese, a bit of manchego and a few olives of a Saturday afternoon. Was going down to get them in the local shop. Get a text from one of my neighbours going, hey, they're giving out vaccines in the little community centre beside the shop. Walk in, nobody in there, get me vaccine, out the door in 30 seconds, get me cheese, I'm home 2 minutes later.
That's glorious. Phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
That's privilege there for you there, isn't it? That is privilege for you.
If only we could all be middle class.
Well, you're just all class, Johnny, aren't you? All class. What have you asked Santa for?
What have I asked Santa for? Just health in the family and all that. Not asking for too much, Nathan. Hoping that this is the last Christmas, I suppose, in which we've all these like COVID chats and all this. I'm just completely fed up with it now. I want it to be out of the news, and I want us to move on with our lives. I want the League of Ireland as well to start in February with full crowds. You know yourself.
Well, here you don't need to tell me about it because Johnny, you'll be delighted to hear this. The kids in my house have asked for Shamrock Rovers season tickets from Santa.
Do you think he'll deliver?
I don't know if they've been good enough all year. I don't know, but I'm hoping, because obviously I'll get to go then as well. But that's how far we have come. Listen, you're bringing me down, Johnny. I know it's not a perfect Christmas, but you're bringing me down.
Do they have a favourite player at the moment?
Well, it'll be Jack Byrne, I'm sure, within about 2 minutes of things restarting. Alan Mannis is the favourite player. I did mention to you before my son went onto the pitch on the final day of the season, wrecking the joint when Shamrock Rovers lifted the trophy. Made a little sign for himself saying, please, Alan Mannis, can I have your goalie gloves? Now, he's a smart kid, clearly. He's only 8, because he was going to ask for Graham Burke's jersey. And I was like, everybody's going to want Graham Burke's jersey. So he had the wise idea of asking for Alan Mannis goalkeeping gloves. Walks up to Alan Mannis with the sign. Alan Mannis takes off the gloves, which look like they're worth about 150 quid. And are also, this is an 8-year-old, 3 times the size of him, gave him the gloves, and he hasn't taken them off since. So he's a fan for life.
I suppose my similar story is I met my neighbour whose dad is in his 80s up in Donegal, and he was telling me that he wanted to get him a nice Armagnac for Christmas. And I immediately thought of Willie Mullins because his favourite drink, if he has a drink in the local, I think he drinks in the Lord Bagnall from time to time, is an Armagnac, which is a very select type of brandy. So I texted Willie Mullins and I said, is there any way you can advise me on what brand of Armagnac my neighbour could get for his dad? And lo and behold, Thursday in the press room, Thurles rather on Sunday in the press room, Willie Mullins turns up with a box of an Armagnac with 2 glasses as a gift for me to give to my neighbour to give to his dad.
Wow.
There you go. He's a gentleman.
That is class act. We need to get into the racing. I am worried, Johnny. One last bit of personal news for the listeners before we go. I am a little bit concerned that when I sit down for my Christmas dinner tomorrow with my family and with my parents, that there'll be a seat in the corner empty, and I'll be saying, who's that seat for? And they'll go, oh, my parents will go, it's for our other kid, Johnny, who might just rock in. Because one of the stories of the year for me is that Johnny Ward would text me at about 11 o'clock on a Friday night with a picture from inside my home sitting room down in Galway, where he'd be having a toastie and a drink with my mother and father. And he'd say, I'm just going to stay the night.
Yeah, your dad is Galway's answer to Irene Roberts. We know this. Players come in. It's kind of a halfway house for players who may be between jobs, sort of things. And me on a Friday night, it also means because although your father is actually it's quite a nice landlord. It also means that I go home early after the match on the Friday night. You know yourself.
Well, it means you're the favourite son, which is upsetting me greatly as we head into the Christmas.
Oh, there you go. Your father has done wonders for football, and hopefully, on the final League of Ireland point here, hopefully this is the end of Galway United in the First Division, Nathan.
Well, that's it. That's your true wish for 2022. Get Galway United back where they belong. Here, enough of our rambling on, because listen, we need to get home. We need to get to bed, Johnny, as quick as we possibly can. But we'll have no show tomorrow. But there will be a busy day on Saturday. We're going to be on air from 1 o'clock on Sunday. Sorry, I'm getting confused with my days. Sunday is St. Stephen's Day. We will have live commentary Premier League. Hopefully, Manchester City against Leicester City from 3 o'clock with myself and Vinnie Perth. But Will O'Callaghan will be here keeping a very close eye on all the day's racing, because it is by far and away the busiest day of racing, I think, of the entire year, Johnny. Even busier than the opening day of Cheltenham. There is about 20 different race meetings on Stephen's Day.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's really, really cool. And Racing TV actually has a dedicated free-to-air channel for the Irish three meets this year. So to the best of my knowledge, anyone who has Sky or whatever can watch it free. So if you're not one of the 5,000 people at each of the respective Irish tracks due to the COVID restrictions, that's a really good, in fact, it's probably more fun in some respects. Chill on the couch, enjoy your festive drink or whatever, and 3 Irish meets, as well as Kempton, the first Irish winner potentially of King George since 2005, which is incredible. So it's just that the Irish horses just haven't really gone over for the King George. I'm not really sure why, but would
there be a pressure on them to stay and go to the big races at Leopardstown?
Yeah, and I guess if the depth of the stay and chase in Ireland isn't that strong, there isn't much point them going over to England. But now, we'll say Aplutard is going to be favoured for the Savile Chase, Leopardstown. But his stablemate, Manella Indo, who's obviously the Gold Cup winner and beat him in the Gold Cup last year, he can now go to King George. So Henry de Bromhead quite reasonably says, I can actually win both the big races here. And Henry de Bromhead had 6 winners at Cheltenham last year in Grade 1s. And he's won, obviously, the Grand National, and he won a big race as well with Aplutard. So him and Astarian Forlorns will give the Irish a big card in Kempton.
Swallow Racing on Off the Ball is brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie or follow their Twitter account at HRI Racing. We've got a really interesting piece coming up in just a little while with Gavin Cromwell, the trainer of Flooring Porter. Ger was down in Gavin Cromwell's yard over the past week or so and got a really good insight into all that Gavin Cromwell does. So we'll play you that out in a few minutes' time. But Johnny, you're going to run us through some of the standout races and give us a few tips as well. You've picked Johnny Ward's 5 to follow, and we're going to start at Leopardstown on the big race on St. Stephen's Day. It is the Grade 1 Racing Post Novice Chase. Racing gets underway at midday at Leopardstown. This one gets underway at 2:20. What are you looking at?
I'm going to go with Curse Sublime here because of his price. He's 12 to 1 thereabouts. So if you back him each way and he's placed, you'll double your money just to place if he finishes the first 2. Now with that, the proviso there is that he'll have to beat both Fernie Hollow and Riviere de Tel. Strange enough, on their respective chasing debuts at Punchestown, Fernie Hollow, Curse Sublime is actually travelling better than him at second last. Now, he's often done this. He doesn't find an awful lot. But it was his first start for Henry de Bromhead, and I thought it was a really, really good run off a long layoff. And I just think he's a bit of value. This race has thrown up a few surprises down the years. Riviere de Tel is getting £13 from the top 2 as a 4-year-old filly. That's a massive allowance, and she has a massive chance as well. But I think in terms of each way value, if one of those two, and it's a novice chase, if one of those two disappoints, Henry de Bromhead's horse is coming here a little bit under the radar. I know he was kind of humming and hawing whether to put him into this or beginner's chase. I was actually chatting to him during the week, and I was kind of saying this. It kind of makes sense to go to this race. A lot of prize money, and you never know what might happen. And he doesn't have that much time with Fernie Hollow on their chase debut. So I think he'll run a big race at 12 to 1 or thereabouts.
Yeah, real shame that it won't be a full house at Leopardstown. It looked like it was going to be just a week or so ago, but obviously very much a reduced attendance there.
Yeah, like I'm kind of at least thankful that there are people there, because I've got my own views and the restrictions at this stage, particularly an outdoor event like Leopardstown is predominantly outdoor, and they could cater for a lot more fans outdoors. But like at the same time, the Welsh national, Nathan, is going ahead with no fans, and so it could be worse. 5,000 compared to nobody is such a difference. I mean, racing behind closed doors was extremely sterile, and it basically served no purpose other than to keep the industry going. Because it's a kind of it's a dystopian future if we don't have people going racing, and there's a fantastic atmosphere at Leopardstown, and 5,000 people will make an awful difference.
So Leopardstown gets underway midday then on Stephen's Day. It's also a massive day down in Limerick. Their 7 races start at 12:25. The feature there is the Grade 1 Boyle Sports Faugheen Novice Chase. What are you looking at?
Yeah, this is an interesting race because it's 8 runners, and it has a nice each way shape to the race because there are sort of three horses maybe that you could say wouldn't have much of a chance. So if you're backing each way in the race, I think you have a reasonable chance of copping at least each way money. I'm backing Vanillier here. He was obviously brilliant in winning at Cheltenham in the Albert Bartlett last year. He was maybe slightly fortunate, certainly flattered by the winning margin when he won last time at Punchestown. He ended up winning by 26 lengths. There were only two finishers on that occasion. But I think the key here, Nathan, is that the ground at Limerick is soft to heavy and might be heavy on the day. What with the rain that they've had and all that, it can be very, very testing down there. And he stays so well. I think if it turns into a stamina test at all, he's a huge chance. The aforementioned Gavin Cromwell, I hope he wasn't one of the horses who ended up jinking right at a schooling hurdle there on the video that we've seen with Cher. He also has Gabby Nacco in the race, who's going to be favourite. Very, very strong contender as well. Ran an absolute blinder last time in the Drenmore. And then you'd have Farouk Delaine, obviously will be well fancied as well for Jigginstown. But I think Vanillier will run a big race, and he should be an each way price.
The main focus on Stephen's Day, particularly for the Fairweather fan, is going to be on the King George and Rachel Blackmore. After the week she's had, after the year she has had, there's going to be so much attention on Manella Indo, having won the Gold Cup, going in the King George. What chance do you give Manella Indo?
Yeah, I'd give him a very good chance. The reports are that he's in great nick. Wears cheek pieces for the first time, which is interesting. This is a race. If you're listening in here and you really don't give a toss about racing, just have a look at this race because if you're not doing anything on Stephen's Day, Boxing Day, because it's such a test. It's like the horses are turning pretty much almost the whole race or a lot of the race at a tight right-handed track. For a 3-mile chase, they're jumping at extreme speed, and you have a horse here in a steering for Lawrence, who's Willie Mullen's horse in the race. He likes to jump out to his right, so that's going to be a problem for him even at a right-handed track. You have Manella Indo, who really stays all day, as he showed in the Gold Cup, and you'd actually wonder is 3 miles here going to be a little bit sharp for him, but I think Rachel will have him very handy, and it's going to be quite the story because it's Rachel and Bryony Frost has been in the headlines so much this year. She obviously won that landmark case against Robbie Dunn in terms of bullying in the weighing room, and she's bounced back from her from what was a courageous thing that she did. She's bounced back from that, and she's come out fighting, and she's ridden very good winners. She's riding Frodon, the horse she's most associated with. The two of them have very good chances. But I'd probably just prefer Manella Indo. I think once he gets into a rhythm up front, he'll probably stay on best of these.
The betting's obviously very tight at the top. So Manella Indo at the moment's around 10-3. Clondazabo 3-1. Clondazabo has won this twice before. So if you're looking for the horse for the course, it's the Paul Nicholls one.
Yeah, and he's a very good chance. Paul Nicholls, he's had a kind of a lean time with in recent years relative to the strength that he had. He wouldn't have the horses that he has had in the past, but this horse obviously last seen beaten Album Photo in an interest renewal of the race at Punchestown. On a line through Album Photo, that would give him a little bit to find with Manella Indo on Cheltenham Farm, but he's a massive chance, and it's very much horses for courses around Kempton. Chantry House as well, and Nick de Boinville riding him. He's only a 7-year-old. He's plenty of time on his side. Sophomore chaser, massive victories the last twice, albeit he's a lot more to do here. But it's going to be a brilliant race. Like really, really looking forward to it. I have to say it's the race I'm looking forward to most over the 4 days of Christmas.
Well, if Rachel Blackmore can do it again, it is just going to be sensational.
Yeah, and there's every chance. I mean, she's on the back of how many awards did she win there last week? Was it 3 different gongs she won? She's not really one for the limelight, Rachel, to be fair to her. She's and she's really anomalous in the sense that she's become this icon for racing reluctantly, but also she's become the second most leading jockey pretty much in Ireland at a relatively late stage in her career. She's many years to go, but she's not straight out of school or anything like that. So she's become a really incredible Irish sporting figure, and I think this could be her day again.
Moving then to the 27th at Leopardstown, there's a couple of grade ones. The first of them at 1:10 on, I'm going to say it'll be Monday by then, is the Paddy's Reward Club Chase. Only 4 runners in this.
Only 4 runners in this. I suppose with some of the fields around, with some of the fields around the all the cards kind of stacked up and all that, it's not a major surprise. The big story here obviously is Honor Jameen doesn't run. He was going to be odds on favourite, which leaves his stablemate Shack and Poursois. We had a bit of crack with Katie Walsh, Ger and I, when we previewed the race, and she was quite harsh on Shack and Poursois. I think he absolutely bombed obviously in the Tingle Creek, but other than that he's generally run his races. I'm going to give Envoy Len one more chance here, Nathan. He's a little bit like you. He's kind of one of them lads when it's
careful now.
It's a senior football club game, and this fella's kind of sprung off the bench with 15 minutes to go and kind of not really in the shape he used to be. But there's always that flicker of hope that he might do something, because as the owl lad says to the owl lad on the sideline, he was a great miner, that fella. He's a great miner. Just promised so much, hasn't quite delivered as a senior. Today could be his day. I'm going to give him one more chance.
It's Christmas Eve, Johnny. Where's the spirit of love and kindness of Christmas?
Liking that analogy, yeah.
2-footed tackle there, out of nowhere. You're going for Envoy Alan, yeah?
Yeah, he should. Shack and Poursois is obviously going to be hot favourite. He was brilliant in the race last year. He was brilliant at Punchestown before the Tingle Creek. Tingle Creek is a bit of a worry. He absolutely bombed out in that. And Envoy Len, who Gordon Elliott's obviously lost in such unfortunate circumstances really this year. Cheveley Park just up and left with their horses, and weirdly enough, Henry de Bromhead, who's arguably as good a trainer as there is, has had 4 goals with this horse. Fell at Cheltenham, pulled up at Punchestown, then he won in his season return at Down Royal, but was a little bit disappointing with John Durkin. But he's back in trip here and giving him another chance.
And then on Tuesday, there's the Savills Chase, grade 1 over 3 miles. Manila Endo still in the field for this, but the assumption would be won't run. A Plus Tard, a very short price favourite.
Yeah, as I mentioned, Nathan, it's Henry de Bromhead sort of spreading his horses around to hopefully win 2 grade 1s. A Plus Tard obviously just came up short in the Gold Cup, and there was very little wrong with that performance. He was, I think, he was a shorter price in the day than Manila Indo, a good bit shorter actually, but he won this race last year when memorably providing Darragh O'Keefe with a winner in the race when Darragh O'Keefe wasn't even sure he was going to ride him until he saw his name more or less in the paper. That kind of allayed any doubts about his stamina, and he further allayed those doubts when winning at Haydock. That was a strange enough race, and he did win by 22 lengths. He's probably a bit flattered by that, but very, very hard to oppose him here really. You look at the sort of likely rivals in the race. Mellon's kind of been around the block a bit. Delta Work, he ran okay at Down Royal, but he's had plenty of chances at this stage. He's been maybe a little bit disappointing. I can't pick a hole in A Plus Tard, and it'll be Rachel coming back, obviously for the big one at Leopardstown, and she may be buoyant after winning the King George, but either way I think this horse will win.
All right, so Johnny's tips to get you going for the couple of days after Christmas. Care Sublime at 2:20, Stephen's Day at Leopardstown, Vanillier on the 2:40 on Limerick on the 26th, and then in the King George, Manila Indo. Leopardstown on the 27th is Envoy Alan, and then on the 28th, A Plus Tard. Let's update you on our Tote 10 to follow standings. This time next week, they could have a very different look after a period of tightly packed Grade 1 races. There are also a number of bonus races, which mean an extra 25 points for the winner, giving plenty of opportunities for Ger and Danny Mullins to catch up with the runaway leader, the man himself, Johnny Ward. Will that put a smile on your face on Christmas Eve, Johnny?
Yeah, but a long, long way to go. And in fairness, I disgraced myself in the flat equivalent. So, I'm trying to redeem myself somewhat. But I think Ger, his kind of plagiarism can work in these instances where he just nicks everyone else's kind of list that he respects, and not including me, obviously. So we'll see what happens, Nathan.
Well, including you, because yourself, Ger, and Danny have all gone for Manila Indo in the King George. As we know, you've gone for A Plus Tard in the Savills Chase. The current standings, Johnny, you're on 135. Danny is on 95 and Ger is on 75. So Ger has got a lot of work to do. He is relegation at this stage. I deserve a call up. I deserve promotion. Get Jer out of there. Tote look forward to seeing all their customers at the Limerick and Leopardstown Festivals this Christmas, and Tote will also be sponsoring the New Year's Eve countdown card at Punchestown on the 31st. Johnny, thank you for joining us. Enjoy your Christmas.
It would be remiss of me not to ask, as you asked me, what is your Christmas wish?
What is my Christmas? Wow, that's a great question. I guess, Johnny, much like yourself, that we're all safe and happy into 2022, and maybe, just maybe, Mayo might finally get the job done. My wish doesn't change when it comes to a sporting sense year on year. I thought 2021 was it. I won't lie, when I left Croke Park after that victory against Dublin, I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to be seen for a month. But hey, that's life, Johnny.
Lastly saying that, right, so you can't have Mayo win an All-Ireland with restricted crowds. There are so many of you lunatics there who've been following this for years and years and years. It just wouldn't be right unless there are 60,000 Mayo people there, and so many empty houses in the county and all that. It has to happen in front of a full crowd, and maybe it will.
Maybe it will, Johnny. Maybe it will. We shall talk to you in 2022.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas, Johnny. All right, I've mentioned it a couple of times. Flooring Porter, obviously one of the stars of Gavin Cromwell's yard. Jer went out to get a tour of the place. You can watch the full thing up on our YouTube channel.